What's up, good people, and welcome to another Morning Money Motivation. And today we're going to talk about how to finish what you start. Now, I know this is a huge thing for a lot of people. It's one of those things that really can separate, you making it and you not making it at what you're trying to accomplish. And, I want you to know that, first of all, you can finish whatever you start and you can accomplish whatever you set out to accomplish. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. As long as you're working on it, as long as you're spending time learning and going through the process, you can accomplish whatever you set your mind to accomplish. Now, there are some faster ways to get to the results you're looking for, and that's what we're going to be talking about here today. So the first thing is, how do you get started? How do you start on the path of getting stuff done or getting things accomplished? And I think the first thing that I learned is you have to get your mind geared around the end goal, or get your mind geared around what you're actually getting out of accomplishing what you're setting out to accomplish. One of the cool tricks that I learned early on was when you get started doing something, tell yourself, I'm going to do this 2 times. I'm just going to do this first one just get this first one out of the way, but I'm going to do this 2 times. And if you tell yourself that, if you already set yourself up to do something twice, 9 times out of 10, you'll do it that first time and it'll be perfect and you won't have to do it again. It's just a mental thing, a mental play. Mental trick. You can kind of trick your mind into, understanding that it's okay if I don't do this perfect the first time because I'm going to do it again. But if you are prepared to do something and you've worked at it and you've learned it and all you need to do is start, once you tell yourself that, I know I'm going to do this 2 times, so I'm going to work through it. In your mind, you're thinking, you're not having the angst or the anxiety of it not being perfect, or you're not having the feeling of, the dread that I'm going to mess this up multiple times and I'm going to be stuck here doing this and not moving forward. No, give yourself a break. Give yourself that space to understand that it's okay. I'm going to do this multiple times, or I'm going to do this twice, and I'm going to make it happen. And usually, I kid you not, 9 times out of 10, when you do it that first time, it'll be right. And if it's not, you still have that, other time to do it again. And once you do something twice, this is one of the other rules of thumb that I've learned, that once you do something twice, even if one of those first 2 times does not yield you the results that you are looking for, you're going to be willing to do it again because you're going to learn something in those first 2 passes. So it's a win-win situation when you do tell yourself, I'm going to do this twice, or when you give yourself that space to grow. And that's really what it's about, giving yourself the space to grow. The next thing that has really stood out to me in my life is that, when you want to complete something, you have to give yourself incentive to get to each phase or get through each phase of that thing. So you have to understand, how long can I spend doing something? What am I interested in? We all have things that we're interested in that we'll do for long periods of time, regardless of, what's going on. Sometimes for some people it's, making music. Sometimes for some people it may be writing. Sometimes for some people it may be just sightseeing or, going shopping. Whatever those things are in your life that you can do for long periods of time, you can incentivize the things that you don't like doing, or the things that you want to accomplish that you don't really, like doing or have that zeal for as of yet. You can incentivize yourself through those things that you do have zeal for by, saying, hey, I'm going to do this when I'm done doing this. It may be, you want to learn how to do your taxes, or learn how to do some other entrepreneurial thing that you need to do to be a part of your growth in your business or otherwise. So you may not want to learn that thing, or you may be a little, hesitant to spend the amount of time that it takes to get to a certain place with that thing. But if you incentivize it by saying, hey, I'm going to do this other thing that I love to do after I spend this time doing this, it will give you that leverage to always move back and forth in the things that you really, have a passion for, and the things that you need to develop in your life. And that's what it really comes down to is, that development of those skill sets and development of those things that you may not be as far along in, and those things become a part of, that getting to the point of finishing what you start, especially if, the start and finish of that takes a long period of time. If you set out on doing something and it's going to take you a long period of time to complete it, sometimes, you're not in tune with the completion of that because you haven't developed that muscle of staying with something or sticking with something for a long period of time. Some people are more inclined to work on things for long periods of time, whereas some people are more outgoing and they want to be kind of in the moment with things. So you have to be able to develop those muscles and develop those different things for the situation that you're trying to accomplish. And what's the alternative? A lot of times in my life, that is what kind of drove me to do the things that I knew I had to do when I really looked at the alternative and understood, hey, if I don't do this, this is where I'm going to end up, or this is the likelihood that I'm not going to succeed at what I want to do, or that I'm not going to be in a position to do the things that I want to do. So, it's the duality of what we just talked about previously, where you're, incentivizing what you're doing. This is more understanding the ill result of not completing the things that you start. And I know this can be a little bit harsh sometimes for people who, don't want to think about, adverse situations, or don't want to feel like, oh man, I'm not going to fail, if I don't do this, and it's not about that. It's not about failure, but it is about understanding the consequences of your actions or your non-action. And that's very important. You have to understand the consequences of your non-action sometimes can drive where you're going in life. But make sure you're starting things that you actually want to complete. A lot of times we get into the habit of looking at the end results of something that someone else is doing and thinking, oh, I can do that, or I want to do that. And it's something that may not even be aligned with what you want to ultimately do or complete. So make sure the things that you're actually starting, you want to complete them and they actually have real benefit for you. That will save you a lot of time and a lot of headache and a lot of emotional strife in terms of not being able to complete things, because sometimes things that you're doing aren't meant for you, and they're not meant for you to complete them in the first place. So definitely consider that. And I could have put that at the beginning, because that is one you probably want to consider first. Definitely think about that first. Whenever you start something, whenever you set out to do something, really vet it and really think about, is this something that really is for me? Regardless of the end results that I can see that it had for someone else, or, me envisioning myself in it, within those results that I've seen for someone else. Is this something that is for me? Is this something that I really want to do ultimately, or I want to complete? I think about this in terms of, a lot of times people go to school or, enter into programs or enter into things that, they think are going to yield a financial result for them. And they're things they're really not interested in. Yes, they're interested in the financial, money or the financial situation that particular thing can put them into, but they have no interest in the actual mechanics of the thing that they're, setting out to do. So you have to really think about that. There are a ton of ways to, make money. There are a ton of ways to prosper. There are a ton of ways to be successful. And you really have to find the ones that are aligned with you, and really, not enter into things that may not be for you that way. Because, 9 times out of 10, when you enter into things just with the ideal of, hey, I'm going to be able to get to this place financially, this is going to lead me to this place financially, even if you do complete those things, sometimes you're not going to be happy in those things and you won't continue them. But most times, more often than not, you won't be able to complete them because you won't have the staying power to see that thing through, because you may lack the passion for that particular thing or process. So really think about that, really give that some thought before you enter into something. Think about what it is, think about how it's going to affect you in the long term. I hope this was helpful to someone. And until we talk again, I wish you health, wealth, and freedom.